In this scene, we see that Stanley passes by his house to drop off meat to Stella. Stanley is considered the breadwinner of the house, while Stella is the housewife. Stanley throws the package at Stella, expecting her to cook it for dinner.
We also see how Stella follows Stanley to go see him play bowling with his friends. Not play, but be with him. She doesn't have much to do, so all she wants to do is be with her man.
Hey there, Stella baby.
Don't holler at me like that.
Catch.
What?
Me.
Stanley, where are you going?
Bowling.
Can I come watch?
Yeah, come.
Stella can't live without Stanley. Stella is so in love with Stanley that she can't even stand being alone for a night. This shows how much she truly loves him. Blanche is surprised by this because she doesn't know how Stella could overly exaggerate about not being with him.
On the road a good deal.
Oh, travels?
Yes.
Good, I mean, isn't it?
I can hardly stand it when he's away for a night.
Why, Stella?
When he is away for a week, I nearly go wild.
Gracious.
And when he comes back, I cry in his lap like a baby.
I guess that is what is meant by being in love.
In this conversation, Stanley mentions the Napoleonic Code and how it says that whatever a husband owns, his wife owns it as well. This leans towards the feminine side and how women want to be equal to men. However, is Stanley just saying all of this so he could gain the money that Belle is worth?
Have you ever heard of the Napoleonic Code?
No, Stanley, I haven't heard of the Napoleonic Code. If I have, I don't see what
Let
it...
me enlighten you on a point or two, baby.
Yes?
In the state of Louisiana, we have the Napoleonic Code, in which whatever belongs to the husband belongs to the wife, and vice versa. So if I had a piece of land, you have a piece of land.
My head is swimming!
Alright, I'll wait until Blanche gets out of the hot tub, and I'll see if she inquired with the Napoleonic Code. It looks to me that you're swindled, baby. And when you're swindled under the Napoleonic Code, I'm swindled too. And I don't like to be swindled under the Napoleonic Code.
Stella gets excited when Stanley comes home and greets him with love. Stella tries to get out of Stanley's way when he has a poker night, and she asks Stanley for money. Once again, this shows how Stanley is a breadwinner of the house.
What's all this monkey doings?
Oh, Stan! I'm taking Blanche to Galatore's for supper and then to a show because it's her poker night.
How about my supper, huh? I'm not going to no Galatore's for supper.
I put your Coldplay on ice.
Well, isn't that just dandy?
I'm going to try to keep Blanche out till the party breaks up because I don't know how she would take it. So we'll go to one of the little places in the quarter afterwards and you better give me some money.
Blanche is the sister that cares a lot about her appearance. She is always fishing for compliments and always trying to look her best. She believes that a big part of being a woman is her looks.
The game is still going on.
How do I look?
Lovely, Blanche.
I feel so hot and frazzled. Wait till I powder before you open the door. Do I look stunning?
Why no, you are as fresh as a daisy.
One that's been picked a few days.
Here you could see that Stella believes in equal partnership. It's not only his house but hers too, and she's not afraid to raise her voice and tell him that.
You hands cut out that conversation in there.
You can't hear us.
Well, you can hear me and I said hush up.
This is my house and I'll talk as much as I want to.
Blanche turned on the radio one time and Stanley turned it off because it distracted his poker game. Blanche then turned the radio on a second time, which gets Stanley furious. He goes inside the room and throws the radio out the window. This then leads to a very regretful action.
Drunk animal thing, you. All of you, please go home if any of you have one spark of decency in you.
Stella, watch out, he's...
You lay your hands on me and I'll...
In these two scenes, we see how Stanley knows that he messed up and wants to get Stella back. Instead of just waiting for her to come back, he goes out to get her. He expects to just call her name out, come down, and forgive him.
Stella! My baby dolls left me. Eunice, I want my baby. Eunice, I'll keep on ringing until I talk to my baby.
Stanley gets aggressive with his wife, who is indeed pregnant. There is really no excuse for him to slap her, not even the fact that he was drunk. Stanley got mad because Stella started kicking out his friends without his word. He believes he's the man, so he should have the one and only say in the house. Eunice believes that Stanley calling Stella's name out will not convince her to come down. She strongly disagrees with what he did to her and thinks he should not be forgiven.
Stella!
Quit that howling out there and go back to bed.
I want my baby down here with me.
You can't beat on a woman and then call her back. She won't come and her going to have a baby. You stinker.
Stella!
Like expected, Stella walks down, hugs, and kisses Stanley, meaning that she forgives him. One part of the scene that men mostly likely won't do is that he went on his knees for his wife. We could assume that Stella didn't really have a choice but to forgive him, because he is the father of her child and the only person who could support her.
Stella!
Blanche is surprised that Stella went back with Stanley after what happened the night before. She believes that men have no right to ever hit their women, no matter what the conditions are. Blanche is also outraged that Stella is yet still cleaning after his mess. This is an example of Stella being a housewife. Also, Stella mentions how Stanley promised to not do these poker nights regularly, but he doesn't mean what he says. In other words, he doesn't follow orders from her.
How can you come back to this place last night? Why, you must have slept with him.
Blanche, I forgot how excitable you are. You're making much too fuss about this.
Am I?
Yes, you are, Blanche. I know how it must have seemed to you, and I'm awful sorry it had to happen. But it wasn't anything as serious as you seem to take it. In the first place, when men are drinking and playing poker, anything can happen. It's always a powder keg. He didn't know what he was doing. He was as good as a lamb when I came back, and he's really very, very ashamed of himself.
In my opinion, you're married to a madman.
Look at the mess in this room. And those empty bottles. They went to 2 cases last night. He promised this morning that he was going to quit having these poker nights, but you know how long such a promise is going to keep. Oh well, it's his pleasure. Like mine is movies and bridge. People have to tolerate each other's habits, I guess.
Stop it. Let go of that broom. I won't have you cleaning up for him.
Then who's going to do it? Are you?
I.
No, I didn't think so.
During this speech, Blanche explains the gender roles that Stella is living in. Blanche tells us how Stanley is the breadwinner and how Stella is supposed to stay home, cook for him, make him happy, and not get in his way. Blanche is trying to encourage Stella that she doesn't have to follow Stanley's path, but create her own. Blanche basically wants Stella to become her own person and to be an independent woman.
He acts like an animal, has an animal's habits, eats like one, moves like one, talks like one. There's even something subhuman, something not quite to the stage of humanity yet. Yes, something ape-like about him, like one of those pictures I've seen in anthropological studies. Thousands and thousands of years have passed him right by. And there he is, Stanley Kowalski, survivor of the Stone Age, bearing the raw meat home from the kill in the jungle. And you here, waiting for him. Maybe he'll strike you or maybe grunt and kiss you. That is, if kisses have been discovered yet. Night falls and the other apes gather. They're in the front of the cave, all grunting like him, and swilling and gawning and hulking. His poker night, you call it. This party of apes. Somebody growls, some creature snatches at something. The fight is on. God, maybe we are a long way from being made in God's image. But Stella, my sister, there has been some progress since then. Such thing as art, as poetry and music, such things of new light have come into the world since then. In some kinds of people, some tender feelings have had some little beginning that we have to make grow and cling to and hold as our flag in this dark march toward whatever it is we're approaching. Don't hang back with the brutes. Blanche tells us about her love story with her dead husband. She mentions that she worshipped him and that he was the light of her world. During this period of time, the homosexuals were looked down upon. Blanche was disgusted to find her man with another man. Back then, you were seen as a man if you were with women, not with men. But once he left, she was devastated and just wanted to find someone like him. He was a boy, just a boy when I was a very young girl. When I was 16, I made the discovery love, all at once and much, much too completely. I didn't know anything except I loved him unendurably, but without being able to help him or help myself. Then I found out, in the worst of all possible ways, by coming suddenly into a room that I thought was empty, which wasn't empty, but had two people in it. The boy I had married, and an older man who had been his friend for years. Afterwards, we pretended that nothing had been discovered. Yes, the three of us drove out to Moon Lake Casino, very drunk and laughing all the way. We danced the Varsuviana. Suddenly, in the middle of the dance, the boy I had married broke away from me and ran out of the casino. A few moments later, a shot. He'd stuck the revolver into his mouth and fired, so the back of his head had been blown away. It was because, on the dance floor, unable to stop myself, I suddenly said, I know, you disgust me. And then the searchlight had been turned on the world was turned off again. And never for one moment since has there been any light that's stronger than this kitchen candle.
In this scene, Stanley once again acts very aggressive and doesn't appreciate how Blanche and Stella have been talking about him. He mentions Hugh Long's quote that every man is a king and that he's the king around the house. He gets up and out of the house, not caring that his wife is crying.
Mr. Kowalski is too busy making a pig of himself to think of anything else.
That's right, baby.
Your face and your fingers are disgusting and greasy. Go and wash up and then help me clear the table.
That's how I'll clear the table. Don't ever talk to me that way. Pig, like disgusting, vulgar, and greasy. Them kinds of words have been in your mouth for a long time now. You and your sister, what do you two think you are? A pair of queens? Remember what Hugh Long said? Every man's a king. And I am the king around here. Don't ever forget that.
Stanley went off to bowling while his wife was giving labor to their child. He wasn't being there for his wife in a supportive moment. After that, he went home and attacked Blanche. Keep in mind that his wife is still at the hospital. Blanche tried hard to defend herself against him but failed to do so. In this case, men are stronger than women.
I warn you, don't. I'm in danger.
What'd you do that for?
So I could twist a broken end in your face.
I bet you would.
I will if you...
Oh, you want a rough house? Let's have a rough house. Tiger, drop it right now. We had this date with each other since the beginning.
Blanche told Stella what happened while she was at the hospital, but Stella chose not to believe her. Instead, she believes Stanley because he is her husband and must always defend him and be by his side. The man's word is superior to the woman's. Stella went against her own sister to protect her family with Stanley.